Welcome to Corey Country Living. Today, my great-grandma Grill and Papa are talking about dead people in this video.
My mother, Gail Curry, Nee Gibson, and I are on the way to Neelin, Manitoba, where we have some history. And Mom, do you want to explain briefly what that history is?
You mean the history of why we're going to the Neelin Cemetery?
Yeah.
Well, we're going there because my grandmother's brother, Charlie King, lived in Neelin, and my grandma and Grandpa came out with my mother and Aunt Lil to Neelin because he was there. And we don't know why he moved from England to Neelin. And we're not going to find out in the graveyard either, but we're going to go and have a look at these stones and get some dates, and maybe we can find some more information out as we go along. Hopefully, yeah.
So, and then the other thing that happened is Charlie passed away and married a Carl Hirsch, who was also in the war, I believe.
It says on his tombstone he was.
Yeah, so we don't know much about him either.
No, he was a blacksmith.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I always remember when there were two little girls, like my mom and Aunt Lil, and they were 7 and 5 when they came here, and they landed in Neelin. And their entertainment at night was to see how many wood ticks they could get on them. They pulled them off at night and counted them. Oh. That was their entertainment. So I always thought that was sort of, yeah.
And now people are so terrified of wood ticks.
I know they are. Yeah, yeah. And that was good. We're going to the cemetery?
We're going to go to the Neelin Cemetery now and visit Uncle Charlie and Aunt Nan, known as Annie, I guess.
Yeah, I can't
Annie
get
was
used
a king.
to that, Annie. Yeah.
So, as written in the Argyle book, page 516, Charlie and Nan King family. In or before the year 1908, Charlie King immigrated to Canada from Hayling Island, a small island off the south of England, in view of the Isle of Wight. He had been in the Navy for years and had seen many parts of the world. Somehow he arrived at Neelin. He worked at the John Cooper's for a time, then rented a farm in Pleasant Valley, where he lived for 17 years. During his second year on the farm, he was joined by his sister, Mrs. Joe Ransom, which was my great-grandmother, Isabella, or Kitty, her husband, and 2 daughters. The Holmfield Cemetery with my great-great-grandfather Joe and great-great-grandma, oh, isn't that terrible? Mom, what was great-grandma's name?
Isabel.
No, what did you call her?
Kitty.
Kitty. So you called her Grandma Kitty?
No, I just called her Grandma.
Kitty, okay.
You just called her Grandma.
You just called her Grandma, but people called her Kitty.
No, but everybody, like Joe did. Grandpa always called her Kitty.
Always called her Kitty.
Kitty, yeah.
Because her real name was Isabel.
Isabel, yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd he get?
Anyways, we're here. Uncle Jimmy had us come out, and he was the foreman, and we got that stone kind of straightened out for them. So hopefully they're resting a little more easy. And it's a typical day for a cemetery, right? Thunder and lightning, and it's raining. So perfect weather for it.
Oh yeah, sure it is. Well, it is for me. I got my raincoat on.
Yeah. And one of those daughters was my grandmother, Mabel. Mrs. Ransom kept house for Charlie and the girls while Joe took work to earn a living. A few years later, Annie, also known as Nan, Nee Martin, and Charlie were married, and the two of them set about the business of making a living on the farm, a far cry from the Navy or from London, England, from where Nan and her family had come. To Nan and Charlie, 2 children were born, Elsie, who became Mrs. Charlie Mackay, and Ron, who joined the Air Force serving there during World War II. And for some time after, in 1918, Charlie's nephew, Percy, and in brackets it says C. J.R. Kelly history, came to him. The little island offered so few opportunities to young men that the three of the kings all landed in Neelin. So Percy farmed in the area and in the west for some years, then married Kathleen Kelly, and they returned to England. About 1928, Charlie left the farm and moved to Neelin. He drew the mail from Greenway to Neelin until the CPR carried the mail to Cartwright. He died in 1940 and is buried at Neelin with Nan. All those who knew Charlie respect his memory. Those who attended the concerts in the area will remember his skill in club swinging.
Yeah. So like if we could get a hold of a book, if they wrote anything down at that time in some of those books. Yeah.
So I know I sound like a broken record, but we're going to go over this again. So Charlie King came over. We don't know whether he was married over here or whether he came over with Annie or anything. So those are the things we're trying to find out.
Yeah, I think he came alone because I don't think she was from England.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she must have been she would have been an immigrant of some sort, I'm sure.
Well, but I'm thinking she was probably here when he came here. And he came from England over here and then married her, but where did they meet and how did they meet? And
well, there's the story that we're trying to find out.
Yes.
And then they married. They had two children, Elsie and Ronnie. And Elsie we visited out in Victoria, and Ronnie we're not sure. He might still be out in Calgary, but he'd be quite an age.
Yeah, I tried his phone number and
and their last name would all be King.
King.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Elsie's wasn't King because she was married.
Her maiden name, right?
So that's the Elsie we visited?
Yes,
nice.
Yes, Elsie Mackay. She married a Mackay from Cartwright. And she was married when she was about 16. I think they eloped. And Auntie Nan was so mad. Yeah, yeah. Well, I would have been too, probably 16 years old.
And so then Charlie died, it looks like, in 1940, Charlie King. Yeah. And then it looks like Aunt Nan, or Annie, married Carl. We're pronouncing it Persh, but Porsche might be the better pronunciation. And it looks like Carl died in 1964 and Annie died in 1968.
So do we know what year they were married? We don't.
No, we don't know any of that.
Well, he died in 43?
1940. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed that video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, or even make a comment. Till next time, cheers from Curry Country Living.